A lot of swings after the Big 8 tournament going into the Nationals.
118 pounds. This is one of those close ones we figure between Melvin Goree of Oklahoma, who has wrestled some at 126, and Dan Higgins, a freshman from Iowa State who already has a problem.
Well, I think that it's just no guesswork to anybody that Goree would love to be the 118-pounder, but he just can't beat out Mel Curry, so he's at 126.
Well, there are a lot of people who would like to avoid 126 where Barry Davis is. Here's Goree in the front, trying to spin around, and he has the takedown, the first one of the meet. 2-0 Oklahoma.
Just got a 18-pounder, but he just can't beat out Mel Curry, so he's at 126.
Well, there are a lot of people who would like to avoid 126 where Barry Davis is. Here's Goree in the front, trying to spin around, and he has the takedown, the first one of the meet. 2-0 Oklahoma.
Well, it just got a little bit extended. Higgins from Iowa State got into the legs, but he got a little extended, and Goree just took advantage of that. And now he's a good hip tilter. You can see him trying to lock up the waist, tie up an arm. And then the way that works is they've got to load the hips up on their knee. They try to get their knee underneath the man and then load the hips on the knee, then roll him over.
But Higgins has managed to avoid it here. As we've told you before, Higgins is really smaller than most 118-pounders. He can make the weight quite easily.
Yes, it's really not to your advantage to be that light and be a 118-pounder in college, because most of these boys are coming down from somewhere around 130 to this weight class.
Higgins wrestled a good match his last time out, which was against Ohio State. He got Cyclones off to a winning start.
Well, he's given up an arm to get tied up, and Goree is very dominant here so far, but he hasn't been successful in getting the back exposed. So I would imagine that if he doesn't get him turned over here shortly, he's going to probably cut him loose, go back on their feet.
So warning against Higgins, by the way, Chuck, for inactivity on the bottom. That's Dan Hill's first move, and he's telling him again that something different is going to have to happen. There is a stalemate in the first minute and a half of this 118-pound match. Harold Nichols would like to see Dan Higgins come up with something against Goree, because these close prospects abound in this match. There are 4 or 5 places where either man could win.
These are one of those toss-up matches that we talked about. It could go either way. It doesn't look like it could go either way right now because it's been dominated by Goree so far. I don't know what happened to him right there.
He was complaining about a knee, maybe a wrist too. He limped off the mat, and now he's talking about it's a thumb. And so the Iowa State trainer has gone over to look at him, and we'll see what's happening.
Okay. He might have jammed that when he knocked him down to the mat. The elbow of Higgins might have come down on top of his hand, and the thumb might have been in the way and just jammed it.
Iowa State down.
Young man Dan Higgins. He's only a freshman and not a redshirt freshman at that. He has a good deal of maturing ahead of him before his college career is very much farther along. Goree lets him go.
Yeah, he did cut him loose, just as I suspicioned that if he wasn't getting success in that position, he might cut him loose and wrestle him on his feet. He's awful quick.
Goree is really being aggressive here. He's keeping his hands in Higgins' face and pushing him the whole way.
Well, Higgins got into the legs both times, but he kind of stopped his motion, and that's important to keep going once you get in there.
2-1. We have a minute and 19 seconds left to go. Goree got a takedown on a counter move, and he let Higgins go.
So now here's Higgins in again, but he's out of position. Even though he hasn't lost anything, it's just very difficult to affect an offense from that position. Some carries, or Kellys is what they call him from there, because he has the arm locked up. But once he gets the arm out, now he starts to lose the position. And he could lose a takedown right here.
And he got it. It's 4-1.
Well, he's pretty much dominating him with power right now, Doug. Being pretty physical to him. Now you
Goree's leading 4-1. Harold Nichols is going to come out and talk to the official. I think there's something that Goree is doing that he doesn't like, and we'll listen in.
I think that
Here comes Stan Abel too.
I think he feels that he may be a little bit unnecessarily rough on the edge.
Well, actually, when he posted
I don't think it's necessary.
We've got a 2-point takedown.
Let's go.
I think. What do you think that was about?
He just said he doesn't need to push him that hard. He doesn't need to be that unnecessarily rough on the edge of the mat just because he's near the edge.
That was actually between the two coaches.
Well, there's a little bit of work going on the official right now, too. They're trying to make sure that he understands what they want. He's back in that position again now, Doug, trying to slide on in behind his opponent, but they're going to go off the edge.
And again, Goree did let Higgins go, figuring that he has the better of it on his feet. He'd prefer to trade 2 for 1. It's 4-2 now in favor of Melvin Goree, a sophomore from Tulsa, Oklahoma. McLean High School in Tulsa.
It doesn't look like he's generated any offense because the man from Iowa State's been doing all the shooting, but really he's putting the pressure on so that the man from Iowa State has to drop down in order to keep him getting pushed out of there.
And then he's been overextended, and Goree scored twice on counters.
And once you get the pressure on him, you want to keep the pressure up.
We're in the last few seconds of the first period. It's 3 minutes long, as you know, and then the next 2 periods are 2 apiece. Now we'll come back to the center for the second period. We'll see who won the coin toss. There's Stan Abel, the coach of the Sooners at Oklahoma. Oklahoma had the choice. Goree chooses down. There's the Iowa State coaching staff. Nichols on the left, Les Anderson on the right, who's doing the charting tonight, apparently.
Goree's going to try to get up out of here in a hurry. His forte is on his feet. He doesn't affect himself very well when he's down on the mat. So as he tried right there, and Higgins did a real nice job of stopping him, he's going to try to get up and get out of there.
Goree's been a very active wrestler here. He's been driving hard. He and Melchiorre have traded places a few times this year, 118 and 126, but I'm sure they'll want Melchiorre at 118 before the season is over.
Right, I'm sure of that too. Now there he did get to stand up and earn it. Now,
5-2.
He likes to throw. That's one of the things Higgins is trying to take away from him, is his ability to throw.
Oh, well, I'll tell you what, this chance for a toss-up is turning into one where Oklahoma could score some points now.
Yes, they got a big lead and fairly clear dominance. And he just kind of released him there to let him slide out in front.
Makes it 7-3. Goree has had 3 takedowns and has dominated Higgins from the, I was going to say on the feet position, but it hasn't been much on the feet. It's been from down here on the knees.
No, he's just got him out of position. There again, he just did the same little just spin around behind him type of maneuver where he gets the man's head down and then starts to free the arm, spins in behind.
It isn't as attractive as a throw or a fireman's carry, something like that, but it's
effective. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there he just kind of released him on the edge, and now they're back on their feet again.
9-4 is the score. It's Goree by 5. Oh, contact lens. That was what the first stoppage of the match was for. Higgins lost a contact lens in his right eye. Now he lost it in the left. He's ready.
Well, as I indicated, he likes to throw. The young man from Oklahoma wants to try to take Higgins up and make his upper body come up and then have a chance to throw him. But Higgins is remaining in that bent position and backing out of there, so it's difficult for him.
Now Goree has 1 minute and 41 seconds of riding time, too, because he started in the down position. Higgins had a chance to pick up somebody, only got 8 seconds worth.
Well, he's in on the legs now. He's just got to effect the takedown before they go off.
Out of bounds.
The call there is when the wrestler's feet go off and one man has to be in. When both men go off, then he blows them out.
9-4. It's the first time that Higgins has been able to reach Goree in any kind of good position. 35 seconds to go, second period. Opening match, Oklahoma and Iowa State. Higgins again goes in on the leg.
It's interesting to watch the momentum change right here. Higgins is starting to get to Goree now. Before he was making the same offensive efforts, and Goree's just kind of giving it up now.
It's 9-6.
And he laid down. He didn't knock him down, he just went down.
Stalling on the bottom is called. It's a warning. First time each man has now been warned.
So the situation here is one in which the bottom man has to make offensive attempts to get out.
Stan Abel not very happy, and now his man is ahead by 3 here in this opening match. What do you think Higgins is going to do? He has 8 seconds to go second period. Well, he'll ride him now.
You bet. He's going to try to stay with him for these few seconds.
But he'll start up in the third period. What do you think?
Goree's going to be on top. I think he's going to try to take him to his back with one of his rides. But he didn't ride him. He just kind of cut him out of there without much time left.
10-6. That's a surprise. 10-6 now in favor of Goree. Let's see that last takedown here again by Higgins.
He gets in nice to the leg, and Goree just kind of turns, doesn't fight it very much, turns and goes the other way. Now he just gave Higgins a point. Because Goree got on. Once the man on the bottom gets down and gets set, the top man has to assume his position. He can't move him around.
That was a penalty point.
This is far from over. Far from over. If Higgins can get out, he can still keep the momentum. So he is staying on top and affecting the ride, but he's got to try to turn him over. What he wants to do, I think, is hip tilting. See him trying to get the knee underneath in order to try to tip the man's hips up on top.
That'll load him up. We have 1:35 to go. Goree on top.
But Doug, neither man's been very effective in the down position. It's sort of because the other man's let him get away that they've had this happen.
A point is called for Higgins. And here comes Stan Abel. He never lets that kind of thing go very long. He likes to talk to referees about this sort of thing. And Dan Hill says, I'm not going to talk to you.
It's one of those ones where he's going to be questioning judgment. So the official is saying, I don't have to talk to you about judgment. I have to talk to you about rule interpretations.
It's 10-8 now in favor of Goree. Higgins got to his feet.
So part of what your job is on top, if you don't want to get called for stalling, is to win the Academy Award, Doug. Like this. If you're not going to get him over, win the Academy Award, at least make the referee think you're trying to.
It's 10-8 in favor of Goree. And you don't need to tell you how important it is for Higgins to get out. And again, Dan Hill calls Goree for stalling, and it's a point, makes it 10-9. And Stan Abel is just beside himself.
You can see Coach Abel standing right there talking to Coach Nichols about this is the way it's going to go. And it is very difficult in those kinds of situations to determine whether the man on the bottom is continuing to try to effect an escape or reversal. You're allowed to stay with him as long as he's continuing to do that.
It's 10-9. Goree has the riding time. And now Goree lets him go. And it's 10-10. Well, I would have thought he'd be better off down below, but here comes Goree with a takedown.
Well, he's good in this position. He feels comfortable right here. So he probably will try to do it again.
12-10 is the score with 40 seconds to go. Not everybody's watching the match.
No,
Cabbage Patch Dolls there.
So this is what Goree wants to do, is keep him away from the open shot.
12-11 is the score.
Keep him away from the open shot.
2 points for Goree. He's done a fine job here in the last minute.
So he's going to let him go again intentionally.
Makes it
now, he doesn't want him in deep like this.
It's 14-12 with 10 seconds to go.
As long as he can get a hold of him. Higgins is doing a fairly game job of trying to come on in there. He might get it even now.
He doesn't have enough time. He doesn't have enough time. 1 second to go. It's 14-12. It turned out to be a close match. 15-12 with the riding time. 15-12 in favor of Goree, and Oklahoma wins the first one. 3 points for the Sooners. 15-12, Goree over Higgins. Oklahoma 3 and Iowa State nothing.